Have you ever witnessed the moment when two fierce rivals lock eyes over a single, wriggling prize? Picture this. A soft rustle in the underbrush, the tail of a mouse flicking in panic, and two cats emerging like shadows at dawn, each determined to stake their claim. There's an electric tension crackling between them, as if the air itself is holding its breath. In that instant, nothing else exists except the mouse, the cats, and the silent promise of violence. What happens when survival instincts collide with primal instincts of dominance? This is not just a brawl over a piece of dinner. It's a raw, unfiltered glimpse into the nature of conflict, loyalty, and the fragile line between cooperation and chaos. From the moment the mouse scurried into their world, there was no turning back. The older cat, Tobias, had spent years honing his hunting skills in these alleyways. He knew every nook where rodents hid, every whisper of movement that betrayed their presence. His sleek, muscular frame moved with the confidence of a seasoned predator, whiskers quivering as he detected the faint scent of fresh prey. Tobias believed in merit. If you could catch your own meal, you earned it. He believed in solitude, in the quiet satisfaction of bringing down something with your own claws. But beside him stood Luna, a newcomer to these streets, with eyes wide and emerald green, her fur still glossy from a life once pampered indoors. Luna's world had been safe, warm laps, gentle hands, and bowls filled at scheduled times. The thrill of the hunt was foreign to her, until she found herself thrust into a wilderness of concrete and alleys, where food wasn't handed out, it was taken. She had learned to be quick, cunning, and adaptable, but there was still a tenderness in her that Tobias sensed. He saw how she hesitated at first, whiskers twitching nervously, as if unsure she should take life to sustain her own. Then, on a cool dusk, when the sky hinted at the coming night, fate delivered its cruel gift. A mouse darting out of a cardboard box. Tobias struck first, his claws snatching the mouse by its tail. But in that split second, Luna lunged, jaws aimed at the same prize. They tumbled together, the older, experienced hunter's instincts clashing against the novice's raw, desperate hunger. Paws flew, claws raked, and the alley became a stage for a brutal dance. For a moment, the mouse itself was forgotten, pinned beneath a flurry of fur and teeth. No one dared intervene. The world outside the fight ceased to exist. You might wonder, why didn't they share? Why did they let a piece of dinner turn into a spectacle of fury? It's a question that pulls you into the heart of their world. Cats are creatures of solitude, often more comfortable alone than in a pack. Yet they can form alliances, pockets of unity in a harsh environment. Tobias and Luna had coexisted in silence, tolerating each other's presence as long as neither threatened the other's territory. But when resources are scarce, alliances fracture, and the instinct to survive overrides any fragile camaraderie that once existed. It's not just about hunger, it's about pride. Tobias felt his reputation challenged. Luna felt a surge of raw emotion, neither fear nor respect, but something akin to defiance. As the fight escalated, the mouse made a desperate bid for freedom. It squeaked, pivoted on its hind legs, and in a miraculous twist, wriggled out of Tobias's grip, slipping between his paws like a phantom. Luna seized her chance, pinning it down with a victorious pounce. The sight might have filled her with triumph, but instead, her triumph was hollow. Tina, a nearby alley cat who had watched from a distance, hummed with disapproval. To her, the mouse was merely sustenance, a meal to be shared in the natural order. But Luna barely noticed the commentary. Her gaze was fixed on Tobias, who lay sprawled on the pavement, breathing heavily but alive. In the moments after the fight, The alley held its breath. Luna cradled the mouse in her jaws, proud yet uneasy. She retreated to a corner, her body tense, as if expecting Tobias to pounce again. But Tobias remained still, pain flickering across his golden eyes. He was wounded, not just physically, though a slash across his shoulder would leave a scar for life, but emotionally. His pride was bruised. He had underestimated Luna's willpower, and that miscalculation stung worse than any claw. For him, the mouse was never just a meal. It was proof of his prowess, evidence that he was the master of these alleys. And now, with Luna's defiance, that proof lay shattered. Why does this matter to us? Because within their struggle lies a mirror reflecting human dynamics. We fight over resources, position, recognition, sometimes over things that, in the grand scheme, hold no lasting value. A promotion at work, a parking spot, the last slice of cake, and we tell ourselves it's essential, that our pride hinges on it. Yet when the moment arrives to claim our prize, what do we gain? Satisfaction, yes, but also the risk of losing respect, alliances, and sometimes our sense of self. When Luna tasted the mouse's warm flesh, did she taste victory or regret? Did she feel empowered, or did she wonder if her actions were guided by hunger or something darker? Envy, ambition, fear? This story is not just about two cats. It's a lens through which we examine our own battles. Think back to the last time you refused to compromise, when you clung to your prize so fiercely that you lost sight of everything else. The fallout that followed, hurt feelings, fractured relationships, a lingering ache of emptiness. In those moments, the thrill of victory can curdle into bitterness. Tobias and Luna's fight exposes that slippery slope. After the dust settled, Luna found the mouse's lifeless body in her paws and realized it offered only fleeting satisfaction. She had won, yes, but at what cost? The older cat's wounded gaze followed her as she ate, his silent reproach a reminder that victory can alienate you from your pack. Yet, there's more to this tale than a simple fable of greed and regret. As you watch Luna savor each bite, marveling at the warmth of fresh meat, you might sense something deeper stirring within her. Surviving in the wild is not a solo endeavor. Even the loneliest predator can find solidarity in unexpected places. Nearby, Tina waited patiently, her sleek silhouette illuminated by a dangling street lamp. She could approach Luna, share what remained, or simply sit in silent companionship. But Luna hesitated, teeth stained with red, eyes flicking toward Tobias's shadow. Could she reach across the divide and offer a truce? Could Tobias lower his guard? Except that in this raw, untamed world, alliances sometimes wilt but can also be reborn. In the hush of the fading light, Luna made a decision. She dropped the mouse's head near Tobias, not out of pity, but as an acknowledgement of their shared need. In that gesture lay a powerful truth. Respect can emerge from conflict. Neither cat needed to admit defeat. Instead, they acknowledged each other's strengths and vulnerabilities. Tobias nudged the offering with his nose and allowed Luna to retreat without further aggression. Their unspoken agreement hovered between them. There would be no winners here, only survivors. But the story doesn't end with a simple truce. Later that night, as Luna lay curled in a cardboard box beneath a flickering neon sign, she replayed the events in her mind. A faint pain throbbed in her jaw, a reminder of the ferocity required to survive. In her dreams, Tobias's eyes glowed, not with anger, but with something more complex, perhaps respect. Luna realized that the fight had changed her. She could no longer see the alley as a place of mere struggle. It was a crucible forging her instincts, sharpening her mind. She started to listen to the whispers of the wind, learning to predict the mouse's movements, sensing danger before it arrived. Her hunger drove her, yes, but not toward greed. Instead, she understood that each victory was a stepping stone, not an endpoint. Tobias, too, was transformed. The next evening, he waited silently near a trash bin, tail flicking as he surveyed the alley. Luna's silhouette emerged, lithe and cautious. Tobias rose, not to pounce, but to walk alongside her. In the dim light, they shared a moment of silent camaraderie. Tobias offered a share of his catch, a sign that he valued Luna's presence enough to set aside his pride. Luna accepted, and for the first time they hunted together, moving as shadows in perfect harmony. The prey they caught that night, a fat rat, became a feast for two. They ate side by side, not as rivals, but as allies functioning in a fragile alliance built on mutual respect. This shared triumph brought its own questions. Could two predators truly trust one another? Would the memory of their brutal fight dissolve into something akin to friendship? Or would the specter of betrayal always lurk in the corners? In the days that followed, they proved that cooperation could yield greater rewards than solitary conquest. They scouted together, covered each other's blind spots, and learned that there was safety in numbers. Word spread among the other alley cats. Tobias and Luna were a formidable pair, not because they dominated through fear, but because they balanced each other's strengths and weaknesses. Tobias's cunning paired with Luna's agility made them nearly invincible, and even the boldest of rats dared not cross their path. But as the saying goes, nothing gold can stay. With their success came new challenges. Competing gangs of cats took notice, and the peace they had forged was tested. One night, as they returned from a successful hunt, Luna sensed a trap, a scent unfamiliar, a rustle in the shadows. Tobias detected it too, ears flattening against his head. The alley fell silent, tension coiling like a spring ready to snap. From the darkness emerged three larger cats, their eyes gleaming with malice. They had heard of Tobias and Luna's alliance and sought to break it, to steal their territory and their food. In that moment, the stability they'd achieved crumbled under the weight of a greater threat. This is where the narrative takes an unexpected turn. You think you know the outcome. Tobias and Luna, bound by respect, will stand together and vanquish their foes. But life, whether in an alley or beyond, rarely offers tidy endings. The clash that followed was not merely a test of claws and teeth, but a crucible that examined the very essence of loyalty. Luna darted, agile as a shadow, her claws flashing as she struck one attacker. Tobias lunged at another, his powerful jaws snapping inches from fur. But for every strike, the alliance seemed to wobble. The third cat circled them, ready to strike a blow that could shatter the fragile bond they had built. In that critical moment, Tobias hesitated. Memories of their first fight, the betrayal, the blood, flickered through his mind. Could he truly trust Luna not to abandon him? Luna sensed the hesitation and leaped between Tobias and their attackers, her eyes blazing with conviction. She took the brunt of the assault, her body arching under the weight of a savage blow. Tobias roared with fury, fear for Luna surging through him like a live wire. He struck with renewed vigor, toppling two cats. The third fled into the darkness, leaving Tobias and Luna panting, battered, but alive. When the dust settled, Tobias turned to Luna, who lay trembling on the cold pavement, formatted with blood and grime. In that instant, he recognized something he had never felt before: gratitude. The loyalty she had shown, risking her life to protect him, eclipsed any grievance from their past. Tobias brushed his nose against Luna's shoulder, a gesture of solidarity. She answered with a soft purr, sending a shiver through his body. It was a moment of profound transformation. A revelation that cooperation born from conflict can lead to unbreakable bonds. In the quiet aftermath, as Luna licked her wounds and Tobias tended to his aching muscles, the alley seemed different. The street lamps flickered in a pattern that resembled a heartbeat, as if the city itself acknowledged their victory. But it wasn't just triumph they felt. It was the weight of wisdom gained through struggle. They understood now that any alliance is fragile, that trust must be earned and rebuilt every day. They knew the world would continue to test them, that hunger would drive them to desperate acts, and fear would lurk around every corner. Yet they also knew that when they stood together, they were stronger than they had ever been apart. Let's pause and reflect. Have you ever been in a situation where a rival became an ally? Where the very tension that drove you apart became the forge in which trust was hammered into steel? Think of your own life. Perhaps a coworker who contested every idea you proposed until, under pressure, you discovered a shared goal and found a way to collaborate. Or maybe a family member whose stubbornness mirrored your own, leading to battles that ultimately drew you closer. The dance between conflict and cooperation is universal, a delicate choreography that, when performed well, can create something far more powerful than any solitary effort. Consider the moment when Tobias and Luna realized the true cost of their feud. For Tobias, it was the scar that would serve as a reminder of the pain caused by underestimating Luna. For Luna, it was the hollow taste of victory that lingered until she discovered the deeper fulfillment of partnership. In our own lives, we often cling to a hollow victory, winning an argument online, besting a rival at work, only to find ourselves empty and isolated. It's the shared victory, the collective triumph, that resonates in the soul. Now fast forward a few moons. The seasons have shifted, and the alley has changed with the passage of time. A fresh wave of kittens has arrived, tiny voices mewing in search of food and shelter. Tobias and Luna watch from a distance as these newcomers navigate the perilous world they once stumbled through. They see a young cat stalk a mouse, only to be chased away by a larger rival. In that moment, Tobias and Luna exchange a knowing glance. They remember their own beginnings, the bitter taste of failure, the sting of solitude, and the shaky exhilaration of alliance. With deliberate steps, Tobias leads Luna toward the young cat. Luna approaches gently, showing no immediate threat, but offering the silent promise of protection. Tobias, in his gruff but wise manner, nudges a small morsel of meat toward the newcomer. It's a gesture that echoes 1,000 miles of lived experience. Here is sustenance, and here is loyalty. And though the young cat hesitates, trust blossoms in its eyes as it accepts the offering. Tobias and Luna share a silent understanding that their roles have shifted from hunters to guardians, from participants in a brutal contest to guides for the next generation. In this final chapter, there's a lesson that transcends species. Survival is not a zero-sum game. When we open our hearts to collaboration, when we lay down the weapons of resentment and pride, we create a ripple effect that can transform entire communities. Tobias and Luna's journey from adversaries to allies, from isolation to partnership, mirrors the path each of us can take. If we dare to confront our own instincts of fear and competition, we can choose to see our rivals as threats or as mirrors reflecting our own strengths and weaknesses. So here is the takeaway. Next time you face conflict, pause and ask yourself, what is the true cost of winning? What might you lose in the process? And conversely, what could you gain by extending an olive branch, by acknowledging the humanity, or in this case, the feline dignity, of your opponent? The answer might not be immediate, but over time, you'll find that victory shared is sweeter, more nourishing, and far more enduring than victory won alone. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows along the alleyway, Tobias and Luna settle into the comforting routine of companionship. They've learned that life's greatest rewards often emerge from the ashes of conflict. The very struggle that once threatened to tear them apart forged an unbreakable bond, tempered by mutual respect and seasoned by shared adversity. The alley remains a place of challenge, but now it is also a testament to the power of unity. And so, dear viewer, remember this: every mouse in our life, a point of contention, a coveted goal, a fleeting victory, holds within it the potential to teach us something profound. Will you let it become a source of division, or will you use it to forge alliances that elevate everyone involved? In the quiet of the night, when the city slows and the world feels vast, let the story of Tobias and Luna echo in your mind. Let it remind you that the fiercest battles can yield the deepest friendships, and that sometimes the greatest triumph lies not in taking, but in giving. If this tale stirred something in your heart, if it made you reconsider the nature of conflict and the value of cooperation, then there's one small favor. Hit that subscribe button and join us for more stories that uncover the hidden lessons woven into the fabric of everyday life. After all, we're all searching for the mouse, but perhaps what we truly need is each other.